What's going on, everybody? Devil's Advocate here. Today, I thought it was important to talk a little bit about balance. And I know I've talked about balance before in the past, but I wanted to revisit it because I was doing some thinking, some contemplating, kind of reflecting back on some of the viewers that decided that they wanted to unsubscribe to my channel. And I read some of the comments of those viewers that decided they wanted to unsubscribe to my channel. And I respect everybody's opinion first and foremost. But the thing I realized is that some of the people that unsubscribed were committed all the way in a particular direction. And that made me start thinking about balance. Again, how important it is to have balance in life, just in general. Whether it be, you want to be level-headed at all times, because when you have to, the way our world, the way our very existence is laid out, is constructed, is in equilibrium. And anytime you pull yourself or drift away too far in any one direction, there is a severe negative consequence as a result. Because life, this world, our existence will find a way to reestablish order and balance, no matter what, good or bad. So, as an individual who likes a certain level of consistency in my life, I always try to find, some type of equilibrium or balance in the way I try to perceive things around me, right? I don't like to jump to conclusions. I don't like to reach too far in any one direction. I like to kind of just do a scene assessment. And even if I kind of go down the rabbit hole a little bit on a conspiracy theory, I try not to drift too far in any one direction, because I don't want to find myself too emotionally committed to anything where I'm literally setting myself up for failure. And this idea, it applies to everything. And what I'm really getting at here is extending beyond politics, because there's a good chance that we're going to be traveling down a path that's a path that most of us are not going to be happy about, right? And there may be options to contest it, battle it, fight it. There may be no options. It's all personal perception. It's all subjective, right? Depending on the individual, depending on that person's family dynamics, depending on what they're willing to sacrifice in order to meet their objective, so on and so forth. I can't determine that for you. You have to determine that for yourself. But with all that said, let's just say, for example, me personally, right? Like, you know what? I know what I'm willing to sacrifice for myself, including myself, for a cause, but it's not just me, right? I've got several kids, and I got a family, and those people need me too, right? So you have to be able to delineate, what you're willing to sacrifice and what you're not willing to sacrifice, and you have to be able to understand that whatever you're willing to sacrifice, you're not just sacrificing for yourself, you're sacrificing on other people's behalves as well. So you got to take all those things in consideration. So if I just use myself as an example, right, and say, you know what, this situation is what it is. So I'm just going to have to navigate accordingly, right? So if you're navigating accordingly, you're like, you know what, this is not the best situation. This is not what I was hoping for, but this is where we are. And when you do that, you have to start shifting your focus to, how do I navigate now? How do I survive now? How do I make the best of a bad situation? Because you still have responsibilities and obligations and things to take care of, right? So harboring a bunch of negative energy does nothing but impede your progress in life. It 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 fuzzes up the focus on what you need to start really trying to start paying attention to. And that happens to a lot of people. A lot of people get themselves focused in and honed in on one particular, aspect of life, and then they just focus on that, and they invest so much time into it that they don't realize that everything else around them is unraveling as a result. A good example of that, let's just say, like, that you got this balance, right? Let's just say you're supposed to have, like, physical health balance, mental health balance, professional life balance, personal life balance. You don't want, all of those dynamics are important, but you don't want to commit you don't want to commit too much time to any one of those four prongs, because in doing so means that something else is being neglected as a result. For example, if you're a workaholic, right, you put all your time into your professional life, right? You're a workaholic, work, 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 work. You're all about accomplishments and accolades, right? And, upwards mobility in your career field. And what's happening? A lot of the times, your physical health is deteriorating as a result. Your mental health, depending on the dynamics of the situation, your mental health is deteriorating as a result. And probably your personal life and family life is also deteriorating as a result, even though you might not see that initially. Typically, in those types of situations, that person doesn't really know what's going on until the situation is almost beyond repair and it blows up in their face. Usually, wife says, I want a divorce or something like that, because this guy was just completely oblivious to what was going on for like the last several years. Didn't understand that things were going south while he was focused on his career. Or let's say we got the reverse flip of the situation, right? You're somebody who values the home life a lot, right? The family life, which is good, right? There's nothing wrong with that. You should be. But let's just say that's all you're focused on, right? And you're the kind of guy or the kind of individual who just like, I just want to go to work, do my job, and go home. Okay, that's great. If you make enough money to put food on the table and keep a roof over your head, then that's fine. But where's the professional development after that? Where are your aspirations on where you want to go next in life? You have to be able to focus on those things. And if you're not focused on that, if you just, I want to do my construction job, get paid, go home, spend time with my family. That's great, but you should always be aiming for something else. And I'm not just saying like, never be satisfied. Well, I am kind of saying never be satisfied. I would say never be content. But you always have to have a goal or an aim in life. And if you think you've achieved them, develop another one, come up with another one. But that's also not good, because now you're impeding family progression. I'm always a big advocate that if you have children, you want to be the role model for your children to emulate, correct? We have too many situations now where these children in our current society, their role models are people that don't deserve to be role models. Sports athletes and stars who, for lack of a better term, they don't even know how to live life half the time. They want to be a movie star. They want to be a basketball player. They want to be somebody famous. They want to be everybody else other than their parents. I remember a time. I think I've said this before, where kids grew up wanting to be like their parents. My dad's a firefighter. My dad's a police officer. My dad's a doctor. My dad's a what's a good example? I remember there was this one kid at school, like his dad was a postal worker. He wanted to be a mailman like his dad. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it's almost like those days are gone. Those days are gone. Because the balance in life is deteriorating quickly. And I know when I start going on tangents, I have an ability to start going down these freaking rabbit holes, and I almost kind of lose the whole point of my topic. But I'll try my best to keep it together. But it's the balance is gone, because now we're in a situation where our children are spending too much time being raised by the devices that entertain them. Think about that for a second. You could sit there all day and say, I don't know why Timmy turned out like that. I didn't raise my child to be like that. And I would be willing to wager and say, you know what? You're absolutely right. You didn't raise your child to be like that. Their electronic devices raised your child to be like that. Because you have to understand that when your child is in the critical developmental stages of life, their brain is a sponge. So if you're not putting information into it, everything that they're staring at all day long is putting information into it, whether it be Twitter, Facebook, their phone, their computer, their TV, their tablet, their iPad, everything. All those digital devices do nothing but bombard that child with information, programming that kid all day long. And if you are not there as a parent to deter that, to stifle that, to mitigate it, they're raising, those devices are raising your children. Period. And it's a very tough dynamic to have to navigate in. It really is. It's an uphill battle. It's an uphill battle. Because now we're in a situation where most households where both parents have to work full time, right? Or both parents are working. And the technology is everywhere. You can't get away from it. So by the time parents come home from work, they're tired. You spend a couple of hours with your kid just to get some FaceTime and some interaction with them. And then you're helping them with their homework or something. You're putting them to bed and you're getting ready for the next day. But guess who's always there? Always feeding information to your kids. That phone, that tablet, that TV, that computer. It never stops. You stop because you get tired and you need a recharge. Because you're burning the freaking wick on both ends. But that technology, it never gets tired. It never shuts off. So, the balance. It's almost like, and the reason I'm saying all this is because, like I said, I'm trying to shift from politics because I know, like, when you put up an argument, right, and the argument is lost, and you said your piece and things didn't go your way, you don't literally just give up, but you do have to recenter your chi and refocus on your priorities. And I'm not saying for 1 second that your children are never your priority to begin with, but I am saying that since things seem like they're going to go more leaning towards, because you remember when, like, Donald Trump wanted to try to put patriotic learning back into the schools and stuff like that, and he wanted to try to push that whole initiative where you're just kind of like changing, like, going back to the old school way of kids learning and stuff like that. If the kids were being fed information like that all the time, then technology would be, not necessarily a bad thing, right? Because, because we're using the technological devices that we have and the advances that we have to try to, we use those resources to our advantage to help our children be raised and brought up correctly, right? But that's not where we're going. That's not where we're going. We're going left. We're going way left. And I don't see it stopping anytime soon. And the only thing that you can do to try to mitigate that damage of all that extreme left-leaning thought process is you're going to have to stop the devices. You got to stop the technology, because you can't. It's already in the school, so they see it at school. Some states are not so bad, but most states are just left-leaning and just in general, right? So it's in the schools, it's in the technology, it's everywhere. And if you're trying to stop your children, if you don't want your children to end up another cog in the wheel of the society that we're kind of drifting towards, then you got to bring it back to the household. All the bitching on Facebook, all the bitching on Twitter, all that stuff is not going to change anything. You have to reel it back into the household. That's what you got to do. It's like, you're going to have to start monitoring and saying, like, you're going to have to start inquiring about the stuff that's being fed to your children all day, every day. And, this, it's just kind of where we are. So it's just kind of where we are. And we just, we got, all you can do is just do the best with what you got. And I'm not sitting here trying to give you a recipe and telling you that your children are going to turn out perfect if you do things my way. That's not necessarily the case. But you got to reestablish some type of balance. And the balance, in my eyes, would be, trying to shift the dynamic and the paradigm within the household so that your children are more influenced by you than by the things that they interact with on a daily basis. And yeah, that's about it. Because you got to think about this, we're at a point now where a lot of parents are more concerned with being their kids or their child's friend than being their parent. And my personal philosophy is that my goal, my objective with raising my children is to make sure that I help them develop the proper tools that they need to be successful in life. I'm not there to be their friend. They could be mad at me all they want to when I have them do certain things. I don't care. But I know that once they get old enough and it's time for them to step their foot out in the real world and they have to navigate on their own, that I did my job. And then at some point they'll understand that I did my job and they'll appreciate what I did and they'll look back on it. We always do. We always reflect on some of the situations where it's like, at when it was happening, it's like, why the hell did mom do that? Why the hell did dad do that? They were just being mean. And then as you get older, you reflect back, oh, that's why they did that. It was to teach me how to handle a certain situation when I'm on my own. And these kids aren't getting that these days. This younger generation, they're a mess. They don't know. There's too much going on. There's no balance. They're subjected to too much too fast. Like everything. Too much of everything. And then we wonder why these children we're having like escalated levels of mental health issues amongst our youth. Because it's just too much. And they think that they know what's going on. They think that they got it handled. They think that they know what the problem is, and they don't. And they think they know it, and they think they know what the issues are, because they think they know everything, because they're subjected to everything. And when they don't understand is that their main issue and their main problem is informational overload, overstimulus. That's why they're like a lot of these younger kids are like drifting into like these dark territories because they're lacking feeling. They're lacking emotion. They're lacking just in general. They're smart. They're smart as hell. They're intelligent. But there's something at their core that's almost dead. It's desensitized. And the thing is, it's not even beyond help. It's just that you have to recognize it for what it is and try to do a course correction. But I don't even know where I'm going with this video. I don't even know how to end this video. But everything that I started off with was all about the concern for my children and just, the children that come after us in general. And now that I know that things are probably going to shift in a particular direction, all you can do is literally just kind of reel things back in and just really just focus on your kids. And like I said, professional development, important. Personal home development, important. Physical, you got to keep yourself in good shape. Another thing that really bothers me, right? So let me tell you a little story, a real quick story. This was about 3 years ago now. About 2.5 years ago. There was a lady who came to the pharmacy to pick up a prescription for her 2 children. And these children were 7 and 8. And she was picking up a prescription for depression medication. Depression medication. And I'm thinking to myself, what is going on where we not only do we, because sometimes I know parents can just be ignorant, especially when it comes to medical stuff. They have no experience, so they don't know. They're trusting the doctors to do the right thing, right? I'm like, what society are we in where we're now prescribing depression medication to 7 and 8-year-olds? They haven't even they haven't gotten to the point in their developmental phase yet where, maybe you can argue that just because they're going through puberty, that, maybe they got some huge hormonal, things going on or something like that. You can't even make that argument. And it's not even one kid. It was both of her children. It's like, okay, so I'm putting some of the blame on mom because mom's not asking apparently she's not asking any questions. And then I'm putting blame on the doctor. It's like, what doctor in their right mind is going to put a child on depression medications? Because if you got a child or you got 2 children that are depressed and you're putting them on medication, these are mood altering, brain chemistry altering chemicals. And these children are still developing. What are you doing? Can we try to get to the root cause of the problem first before we start pushing pills down people? No. Because that's where we're headed now. That's where we already are. We've been there for a while. Instead of getting to the root cause of a situation, trying to reestablish equilibrium within that person, and reestablishing order and balance within that, some kind of homeostasis, we push a pill. Take this medication, it'll make you better. Instead of getting to the real core issue of the situation. That's where we're at. So you have to be mindful of physical health. That's not just exercising and stuff. That's also like from a medical standpoint. You know, if your children they don't seem happy anymore. Just like I said, like I think all the stuff that they get subjected to, information wise, it has to have a net negative influence. It has to. It has to. So just remain cognizant of that. So, and I feel like I'm crossing my wires now, but I like to tie them, even though physical health and mental health are different, I like to tie them together a lot because one does ultimately impact the other. It does. They're synergetic in nature. Really poor physical health has a mental impact. Really poor mental health has a physical impact. They just do. So that's why I always tend to just, throw the two together in the same freaking pot. Just take care of yourself and take care of your children. That's my main message in here. And try to find the balance. Because like I said, with big tech is literally I really hope that lawmakers start holding these people accountable, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think things are going to go the way they've been going, and they're getting more brazen and very open about what their intentions are, which means that soon, it was already very restricted, but now it's almost going to be almost a complete blackout of any other type of information other than left-leaning propaganda and left-leaning ideals and narratives being pushed into the brains of your children. And if you don't want that, then you're going to have to be very cognizant, very observant of the things that they are watching on a continuous basis. And the thing is, that's hard. That's a tall order. Because how many of you have children that have phones and they're looking at things and they're watching things when you're not even around? When they're at school, out with their friends, doing their own thing, or just because you want a break and you're literally using that time to just so you can decompress, and you have no idea what they're even watching. Especially on TikTok. The stuff that these kids can see on TikTok, I was shocked. I was like, turn that off. Turn that off. Like, I didn't even know you could watch that kind of stuff. I didn't even know that TikTok allowed those kind of videos to be posted on there. But anyways, balance. You got to find it. Reestablish equilibrium. Bring it back to the center. And do the best you can with what you got. That's it. That's my message for today. Take care of yourself. Please like, share, subscribe. And as always, be smart. Use your brain. Think. Always think. And until next time, peace.